Hi and welcome back to THU TV. I'm Ian Fales. All morning we've been talking about visual effects and animation. Don't forget to go to the website. You might already be watching us there. It's trojan-unicorn.com/TV, and that's where you can actually sign up to THU TV. It's a subscription thing. I call it like the Netflix of design, animation, visual effects, concept design. And it's a pretty good deal. There's lots of shows being made here just for you guys when you sign up. Right now, I'm joined by a team from Axis. How are you guys?
Good, thanks.
We've got John.
Hello.
Emma.
Hi.
And James.
Hi.
And you're all from recruitment at Axis?
No.
Let's go through.
I'm head of art in the studio. I'm predominantly responsible for the 2D side of things, so concept artists, art directors, motion graphics, character design, vehicle design, anything that's design and 2D related, that's primarily my department.
Great. Emma.
I work in the recruitment department.
Yep.
So really from talent outreach to engaging with artists that we've already worked with and film projects basically, so the whole 360 of recruitment.
Great. Awesome.
I work
James.
in assets, so as a generalist, so the whole pipeline from modelling, texture and shading, lighting, rendering, compositing, so like apart from animation and effects, pretty much everything else like
Great.
and in between.
Well, people might not know. People know about THU. There's a week of presentations and just lots of chatting. But actually, in the first 2 days is a recruitment fair.
Yes.
And it's 2 full-on days, isn't it? Of
Yes, it's 2 full
people
days.
showing
Very
you
much so.
stuff, talking to you.
Yeah.
How did it go?
It was a little bit more streamlined this year because they had the online recruitment process where people had to upload links to their website and their portfolio. And you, as a recruiter, you went on and you could approve or decline to actually see those people. So we had a lot less people looking for folio reviews than we did last year because a lot of people don't understand the difference between a review and a recruitment. So it was more streamlined and it was more about actually meeting the people and finding out a little bit more about them than their actual work, because obviously we'd seen it already.
Right.
Interestingly enough, there were several people that we met in person that we've worked with off-site in the past, so it was actually nice to sort of know their face and shake their hand. So, but yeah, it was really good. It was still full on.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as full on as last year, but it was still full on. Great,
Yeah.
and great fun, and just like lots of amazing talent out there. Really, really good.
Yeah, and we should say, if you're considering coming to THU next year, there's Axis is there, ILM was here this year,
Yep.
Ilion Animation Studios,
Riot,
yeah.
Nordis, King,
Like, it's a pretty good cross-section of companies, isn't it? Just a little bit on Access, for people who don't know. Emma, where are you guys and what do you mostly do?
We're based in the UK. We have our headquarters in Glasgow. We've got a studio of roughly about 160 people there. We've got 2 client-facing brands within Axis, and we've got our Axis Work, which is really sort of photoreal game cutscenes and cinematics, and then we have Flaunt, which is our sister company who do very stylised work, fun. More cartoony format.
The other stuff is fun, but
It's all fun.
Yeah, it's all fun and all good.
So that's our Glasgow studio. We've got a studio in Bristol, which is Axis VFX, where we do TV and film, basically.
Yep.
So things like Doctor Who,
Yeah, we've
Red
worked on some
Dwarf.
really fun projects there. And we've just this last week opened in London. So it's a really exciting time for us from the point of view of talent. So we've got a small team there. We've got 15 animators at the moment. So yeah, that's
that's
us.
great. I know you guys really well, having talked to Axis people over the years when I was at FX Guide and for Cartoon Brew and VFX Blog. People will know the cinematics that you guys do, and you've worked on Halo and things like that, but seriously check out the website because it's incredible work, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it is great. And you've also just sort of all come together under one banner,
That's
Axis
right,
Studios,
yes.
is that
Axis
right?
Studio Groups. Essentially, it's just to, as you say, pull everything together under one banner so everyone recognises this as one studio. But as Emma says, we have like 2 client-facing brands, the Axis and the Flaunt side of things. We did 2 films for Mattel relatively recently, and a client like that isn't actually interested in Space Marines and like men in power-suited armour. And 343, who we did Halo for, aren't interested really in seeing stuff for 6 to like 10-year-old girls, for example. But it's just to sort of have one central go-to place. A little bit when you go into a Dr. Martens store, for example, like Dr. Martens do boots, but they also do T-shirts and bags and stuff like that.
See.
So it's a little bit like that.
Yeah.
But it is part of a big relaunch that we're doing. And just raising the studio profile again. So.
Oh, great.
It's also been good for us from the point of view of recruitment, so that people can see the breadth of work, because often what we find is that if people have a specific interest, for instance, quite a few people in the recruitment day knew that we did our Axis facing stuff, but weren't necessarily aware of the Flaunt side of things. So by pulling the group message together and that branding, it's been really great for us to show that off.
Yeah, God, great. Well, I wanted to bring you all together because I really wanted a session on how am I going to get a job in animation or VFX. You know, I think there's a lot of people watching who just want tips and tricks for putting together a reel, what sort of research I need to do, how do I interact with you once I maybe get an interview or I hear that they might be interested in me. So let's run through those things. James, what sort of research do you think someone should do when they want to get a job in animation or VFX?
Well, obviously, the first thing they should do is be aware of the company that they're applying to.
Yep.
So Axis, obviously, we're based in Glasgow, but we have a website, and if you go onto the website, there's a whole bunch of information there that we've been trying to get together to give people a better idea of what it's like to work in Glasgow, what it's like to be part of the Axis team, what type of work that we do. So we try our best to help facilitate that, you know, and make sure that everyone's aware of what we believe in and what we stand for and the type of work that we enjoy doing as a company as well.
Yeah. Clearly they're important things. I sometimes get the comment from recruiters that people haven't even looked at the website. Or
It's true.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the best things that you can do when you're looking to have a job with a studio, and one of the great things that I love to see when someone's sent in their work or their reel or whatever, is that they know us.
Yeah.
You know, they can reference work that we've done. That's really is a great place to start. And there's so much, content on social media now. There's access to see, where we are, the festivals and events that we're going to, the work that we're doing, nights out. It's all out there. So it's not just necessarily about knowing the work of the studio, but actually the style and the culture.
Understanding the personality and the
hugely.
studio.
It's really there's so much that you can find out actually that gives you that edge to have a really meaningful conversation rather than just generically, here's my work, can I have a job?
Essentially, it's like doing your homework. As I was saying earlier and Emma was saying about the Axis and the Flaunt branding, we have that because we do our homework with clients that we want to work with, so we research them. And the same when we're looking for artists as well, we'll go online and look at their portfolios. We don't just randomly pick a studio out of the air and then go knock on the door and say, can you please give us some work?
Yeah.
So we do our homework as well. We try to understand what type of work those clients are doing, what they might be looking for, whether it's co-production or whether they might actually just be looking for a service provider, and we tailor our pitches to them accordingly, and we make use of events to network and things like that as well, and find out a little bit more about them as well. So
great.
It kind of works both ways, so as a student or even as an established sort of industry veteran, it is about doing your homework. If you were going to give a best man speech at a wedding, you would actually have all the jokes and the anecdotes and the knowledge of the history and stuff like that. And so when you want to come and marry the Axis studio, know who your spouse is.
Should that be your new logo? Marry me.
Probably not.
We're single. Is that will be on the website?
Yeah, it's complicated on our Facebook.
Status update. Another thing to say as well is that in terms of research, you have now more access to people than ever before.
Yeah.
For instance, I would say about 99% of the people at Access are on LinkedIn. So actually it's a great place to really find out a lot about, who's there, what jobs do they do. So you get a real
Yeah.
flavour for the variation of working artists that are there. And you can connect with people, so you can follow them, you can follow our work.
Yeah, and
there's so
following
many
them in real
avenues.
life, right? Around the
Yeah,
city.
Yeah,
there's a
don't
thin,
stop.
yeah,
Don't
there's a thin line between research and stalking. Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, events are a great thing as well. Like, make the most of them. Like, do come up and say hello. Do speak to us. We are busy at events, but we're not rude and we're not impolite, and we are more than happy to talk to people.
Yeah, I mean, we're busy, but we're also here to meet.
Exactly.
That's why we're here.
Yeah,
Like,
you want to get the best people, so you want to be open,
Absolutely.
don't you? Yeah.
And Sema said, like, talking to some of the people that have worked for us is a great way of doing research as well. I remember attending an event last year, and we had one of our art directors with us, Bram Sells, and somebody was asking me what the studio was like to work for. And sometimes when you've been at Axis for a little while, you might be perceived as the face off it, the corporate face off it, or whatever. Yeah, the very hairy corporate face. But I basically said, yeah, sure. Yeah, but I don't know what happened to yours, Emma. It's like,
I'm
but
working on that.
I did suggest to them, don't just take my word for it. Go and speak to Bram and see what he has to say. And Bram's a great ambassador for the studio. Right. So of course they came back 10 minutes later saying, "You guys sound amazing." And I thought that was, an important thing for them to understand. It's not a case if we just say these things on our website. We do try and embody them in person as well.
Right.
And actually, you can look at Glassdoor too. We've recently increased our profile and done a bit of work on that too, because really what we want to showcase is honestly what it's like,
Yeah.
And it's from people who work there, people who have left and gone on to other projects. But there's a real variation in all of our reels on there, our recruitment video that we've just shot, which is really good. And it's really just that. It's about giving the flavour, so that we get the right people, because that's, it's such a massive part of the culture, It's how we churn out, our best work is by having the people that really fit, that can collaborate and create great things.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh yeah,
Jess.
sure. I was just going to say, it's also probably a good idea to have a look at where we're based. Like, obviously we're based in Glasgow, we're based in Scotland, so like it doesn't hurt to take it, especially if you're applying for a full-time position, to get a better idea of what the culture's like in Glasgow in general, and see how that matches your
actually, that's an interesting question. What is the Glasgow animation VFX industry like? I can't imagine it's enormous, but it would be quite focused, and or is it just you guys?
No, it's not just us guys. But we're definitely one of the main studios in Scotland, without a doubt, if not the single biggest studio. So there is a scene there. It's not a massive scene. There are some events like the Move Summit that just started recently, that's trying to sort of like bring it together and get some energy behind it. But there's definitely other people out there as well. But
more investment from the government.
yeah, absolutely.
Right.
New film studios and stuff like that are being built in the area as well. So hopefully, it'll be on the up and up over the next few years. But in general, within the wider context of sort of like understanding what if you're into art, for example, like the galleries, the architecture, the people and the culture. It doesn't mean to say that you have to wear a tartan bonnet, eat haggis and swill whiskey, which is all, it helps, it does help, yeah. But, know a little bit about the country where you're potentially going to as well, and what the people are like. It's a very, very friendly nation. Glasgow's a very, very friendly city. Edinburgh's a friendly city. It's a good place to visit without a doubt.
Well, one of the things you guys all must watch a lot of is reels when people are applying for jobs. And I actually think it's a bit of a dark art for some students and new people in the industry about putting together the killer reel. So let's work through some things that you guys know work when you see a good reel. Maybe starting with you, James.
So it's really important for us to get an idea of who you are, like as an artist, like on the reel. So, like when you're working through it, and it's really taking time. I mean, because you're representing yourself to the company.
Yeah.
So it's a good time it's good to take time and to look at each piece and like why you're adding it in, what it says about you as an artist, and whether or not it actually addresses the position that you're applying for. Because like it's very easy to like, you know, pad your work and pad just for content, especially if you're a student, you know, you're trying to get all your best stuff on there, but
Yes.
it's
try and give some focus to it.
Yeah.
You know, think about the role that you're applying for and actually focus your reel accordingly. It's okay to have like support material in there, but like, you know, clearly identify it as support material. I'm, for example, always interested in seeing people's sketchbooks. So at events like this, if they're showing me their digital work on a laptop or a pad or whatever, and I notice they have sketchbooks sticking out of their bag, I'll ask to see their sketchbook because I'm interested in seeing that. But, you know, don't confuse that with the main section of your reel. But it is good to sort of include it. So have that focus. Make sure you overlay. If you're, for example, showing scenes that you've maybe done compositing or lighting work in, or like modelling for effects or whatever, that you have a clear breakdown of what you actually did in that shot.
Yes.
The last thing is
Don't do the CV reel.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
What's the CV reel?
The HR reel.
Yeah, the HR reel. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this really just made me laugh the other day. I passed on a reel to our head of animation. I said, "Looks good. He's watching some really good stuff." And he was like, "HR reel," and it was just basically there was no overlay. It was all full of big blockbuster stuff, and there was a broomstick in it. And he said, "You know, this person might have worked on a Hollywood film, but they've animated a broomstick.
Yeah.
That doesn't show great work."
Or they've modelled the horn and the orc that's like
Yeah.
3 miles away, sticking his arm in the air, you know.
So we want to know what you did.
Of course.
And one really important thing is to put your contact details on there. It's quite frustrating when we're working so quickly, you know, if we're crewing up particularly for a show or, you know, piece of work that we're doing. And you're like, right, I love it, but now I've got to go and find this person, you know, and you're sort of looking around.
Because something I think people don't realise is you are watching a lot of reels.
Yeah.
You know, like I heard the other day an animation supervisor had watched 840 reels in 6 months.
Did they work at Axis?
Yeah.
Could have.
It does feel like that sometimes. You know,
yeah.
you can. I know that a lot of people have been told in the past, and when physical portfolios were a much bigger thing. I'm one of the people that's old enough to remember those, and I would get things coming through in the post, and it'd be a big package, and you'd open it, and you'd open the package, and there'd be like sparklers flying up in the air, and the folio was covered in pink fur, and I think someone had actually sort of like misunderstood the information of like, you know, make your folio noticeable. And to be honest, gimmicks are fine.
Yeah.
But if your work can't support that gimmick, it's like the time and energy that was invested in the external of that folio, if it had been spent on what was inside, I'd have been a much happier man.
Well, in saying that, the modern day representation of that is blockbuster music and really fancy logos. Like, if you spent that much time on logos and music and you have some maybe subpar work, you kind of think,
Okay, well then, serious question. Do you just ditch the music?
Or
you watch enough of them.
I always watch them on mute.
Yeah.
It's really personal,
There you
you know,
go.
like people say conflicting things about it. I think the thing to say is that the music should, as with all things, should be an enhancer to take you on that journey through the reel and through the work. It shouldn't be sort of, you know, too much, you know.
Again, like James was saying with the spinning logo and the furry cover, it's like if you're spending time thinking about how intrinsically important to your folio the music is and getting your edit just so to the music, you're kind of not really focusing on the right thing.
I see.
You know, it's great for as an enhancement, but again, because I look at a lot of 2D people, I'm not generally getting a lot of music playing in the background. It's not important to me personally.
It
I know
also
that.
depends. Sorry, John.
I was just going to say, having said that, as Emma said, it is an individual thing, and some of our heads of department do think that the music can actually reveal a little bit of the personality of the person applying
that's true.
as well.
But
Okay.
it's usually only an issue if you have, I would say, like subpar work. Like if there's work in there that you could have made better, but instead you spent time
Yeah,
making the music,
I understand.
then that's kind of where it becomes
Okay.
a bit.
One last thing on the reel. How long should it be?
As long, how long the piece of string?
It depends on your level, really, because
Okay.
what we want to see is your best work.
Yeah.
So if you're a student coming in to the industry, which I would have, which this is geared towards, don't just pad it out because you think it needs to be 2.5 minutes of content.
Yeah.
Because we're more likely to disengage. I think the key thing is to make it engaging. So if you can show us that you've done something really, really well, and your reel's, a minute long, but it's really great work, and you're showing that you're starting out in your career, but you've got all the elements there, and all you need to do now is really add content to that. Then that, those are the sorts of entry level reels that we're like, okay, definitely,
And
worth to watch.
just briefly, when you're applying for it's good to put your best work first.
Yes.
But your best work doesn't always necessarily mean like the one that you're most impressed by, but the one that's most relevant to the position that you're applying for.
Yeah.
So it's good to keep that in mind, definitely, because then we can hit in the face with like this. We need this guy. He's right. Or this girl. He's
Right.
right here. Yeah.
Oh, that's great advice.
Again, it's focus. Like have the focus about on the good work, what you want to do, and then clearly label support material. I mean, for me personally, quality, quantity, and consistency. So if you have a lot of work in your reel and it's all great quality and it's consistent across the board, I'll be quite happy to look at it. But I'd rather look at one really great piece of work than 20 mediocre pieces of work.
Sure.
So, it is a personal thing again, though, because there are some people I've seen. Again, I tend not to look at show reels quite so much as I look at like concept artists and stuff, and I will quite happily look at a really, really good artist's work for like a long time. Not days and days, but like certainly like a long time. There's some people like out there like Sparth, for example, and Evan Amundsen, whose ArtStation sites are like absolutely phenomenal, and you can just disappear in there for ages because the work is quality, quantity, and consistency.
Absolutely.
But be focused. Sorry, that was a very unfocused answer.
No problem. But you know what? We're running out of time, would you believe?
Wow.
The only other thing I really want to ask, because you're in the UK, is what about people who want to work at Access but who don't live in either the UK, the EU, or who live, in a different country? Do you want people to apply from Australia, from America?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
One of our greatest accolades is the studio, and actually I was so surprised when I joined Access how multicultural it was. We've got great diversity.
Yeah, great.
We've got people from Brazil, from Sweden, from Spain, from Germany, all over the place. And we absolutely do want to hear from talented people, regardless of where they're from.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have art directors in South Korea, LA. We have like modelers in like Eastern Europe. It's like again, it's one of those things. It's like we're a very outward-looking studio, even though we're based in Scotland. I mean, obviously we're interested in local talent as well, but we are very, very outward.
They're clapping you, John.
Thank you.
I mean, my point is, of course, you will support a visa application and all the things that have to happen.
Do
to make
be
that happen.
aware of what your current visa status is when you apply. Also, think carefully about whether you are prepared to relocate or whether you're looking for an off-site freelance position, for example.
Okay.
But absolutely, being somewhere else in the world is no hindrance. We do prefer people to come on site because it's really important for us that people feel part of the family, part of the team, that they're able to sort of like share and grow and sort of collaborate all those things that are really important to us as part of our sort of like cultural values for the studio.
Yeah.
I love to meet friends, so
Yeah.
you come into the studio and
Yeah.
I mean, I love colleagues, but I love friends even more. So
Okay.
definitely.
Well, look, I'm going to come and visit you guys next time I'm up
please,
that way.
please
Come to
do.
Glasgow.
That's great. Well, we raced through that, but I really enjoyed it, and I think there was some
Okay.
helpful things in there.
A lot of
Yeah.
what we've spoken about is on our website.
Yep.
The information is there as well. So please go to our website.
I think that was for you again, John.
Wow.
Brilliant. Okay.
Good timing.
Great. Thanks, John,
Okay.
Emma, James.
Thank you.
very much.
And thank you, and thanks THU for
Yeah.
another wonderful year.
It's been
Yeah,
amazing.
great.
Yeah.